Welcome to the Social Mission Revolution.
Each week we explore some of the greatest undertold stories of businesses and everyday people who are making their ultimate impact on the world through social mission. This is Social Mission Revolution,
And this is your host, Andrea Putting. Welcome to the Social Mission Revolution, and today my guest is Peter Nicholls, and he is the founder of a charity called Change the One. And I'm fascinated to learn all about what Change the One is about, because I have in my mind something that I like, and I'm wanting to see whether that's what comes up. So welcome, Peter.
Thank you, Andrea. Thank you to all the listeners or viewers that may be watching today. Thanks for having me on. A pleasure.
So, Peter, I like to start my podcast with a question. I don't go for small talk. I go for a hardline question. If there was only one thing for you to fight for, what would that be?
Equality of children across the world. I look at the opportunities that my children have had and the opportunities that I had, and it's just giving them the opportunity through education so that they can choose to be the best that they can be in their own environment, not try to change how they live or what they do, but give them the opportunity to choose if they want to be a subsistence farmer like their dad or stay at home, so they can choose to go on to other things and better things.
That is a really powerful passion to have, and I'm sure that's got a lot to do with your charity, with Change the One. So I'd love for you to tell us, what is Change the One?
What is Change the One? I'll take you back to a little bit of history about it.
That's
my daughter and I went to Papua New Guinea with her school, Flinders Christian College, when she was doing year 9. And Buna is at the end of the Kokoda track. There is no running water, there is no power, there is no toilets. They had 2 classrooms and 3 teachers' quarters that remained unfinished, and they were given money as compensation for the war. The money wasn't enough, so we came back. I have a history of theatre, opera and music theatre, so we put on a concert here in Australia to raise money to finish it off. We then went back and gave them the funds. We actually bought the materials. I don't send money over. I don't want it to disappear. So we physically take the money over. And with the help of Rotary, we finished off those classrooms and teachers' quarters. This was before it was a registered charity. We didn't even have a name. It was just me raising money and taking it over there. One of the wonderful things, it was a big learning curve for me, with all charities and wherever you go in the world, you think in your Australian brain, your Western brain, we can go over there and they should do this and they should do that. But until you go there and you see both the religion, their beliefs, the topography, what is involved, you can't make decisions here for them. You have to go over there and see what they need. And that's why I said educating the children in their own environment so they can choose. When we did the school and the classrooms and the teachers' quarters, the teachers wanted to come because the facilities were better. Because the facilities were better, the children wanted to go to school. Our host mum had 2 sons, Eutychus and Monty. Eutychus was 14 at the time. He showed us around. Monty was 17. All Monty wanted to do was smoke dope and chew betel nuts. Eutychus wanted to further his education because the classrooms were there, because the facilities were there, he was able to do the same level of education to take him to high school in Papandetta, the bigger town. He's now the top Italian chef in Port Moresby. So that gave him the opportunity to progress. While I was over there, I inspected a tsunami that had hit the area, and I was a single dad with 2 children, and I looked and I thought, what on earth am I trying to do? I'm trying to change the world. What can I do? It's just ridiculous. And I cursed at the little that I could do, just myself on my own. I thought this is just stupid. Then out of nowhere came a group of school children, and they wanted to meet me. They weren't from where we were helping in Buna. They were about 3 villages away, but they heard of what we were doing. And it was at that moment when they were so happy to meet me that I realised I didn't need to change the world. I just needed to change the one, just
Mm-hmm.
one at a time, just one act of kindness at a time, because just doing that one good deed goes on, and the ripple effect, and it goes out from there. And if we all did that, just one good thing a day, what a difference it would make to the world. And then Change the One progressed on from there and went to Vietnam. I went to Vietnam on a holiday. I became good friends with the hotel manager over there, and asked him what he was doing. He was building a school up in the mountains for the indigenous people up there. We had some money left over, and I said I could help him. I then helped him do the school up in the mountains. We then came back to Australia through my connections through BNI, which is another networking group. A videographer said, "Peter, you should get in front of the camera." And I said, "No, I don't need to, and I want credibility." And he said, no, it builds credibility for the charity because people can see where you are, what you're doing. And then we progressed on from there. We became a fully registered charity so that people can get the tax deductibility. So now with Papua New Guinea, the school over there, we've in the process of completing our 7th school in Vietnam as well. We also help people that have disabilities from Agent Orange from the war. That's an ongoing problem that they have. We provide dairy cows for families, push bikes for children to be able to get to and from school, freshwater bores as well too. That's a little bit of a brief overview of what we do. Originally, or when I first set up the official charity, I did so and structured it so that no one gets paid. I get extremely frustrated by charities where little of the money that's donated gets through to those in need. So Change the One, myself, none of the committee, no one gets paid. 100% of the money that's raised goes to build the schools or to help those people in need. As I said before, we don't send money over. We physically take the money over and buy the materials so that we pay the locals. At the moment, there's a school being built in Tra Leng in Vietnam, and the locals get paid, the materials get bought over there, but we have avoided the corruption. Unfortunately, the poorer the country, a lot of times the worse the corruption is. We've been able to bypass that in Vietnam. I now have the support of the government over there, and whenever we do a project, they give me their stamp of approval. So that's a very brief overview. The most important thing to me is that I think with any charitable work, it's because you've got money that you can donate, it's goods that you can donate, or it's time. And I really don't believe that there's any charities out there that should be making multi-million-dollar profits and then it going to the directors and the administrators, and then 10 cents in the dollar gets to those that need it. It's just, I think it's wrong, but that's only my personal opinion. I feel very strongly about it, but that's my personal opinion.
Yeah, we'll come back to that. But I love what you're doing, and it has so much power in that, in just being able to look at, if I can change one child's life, what the difference that can make. And that's something that I talk about quite a bit, is just that power of touching one person's life and how that can change the world. If you want to change the world, just change one person's life is the way I see it.
That's right.
Because if each of us do that, then that's what's going to make the big difference in the world.
Yeah, Andrea, it can be as simple, like doing that one little thing. It can be as simple as pick up your coffee cup when you've had it at a cafe, take it back to the counter and say, "Thank you, that was lovely." It just gives that person a boost. It is little things like that. It doesn't have to be a monetary thing. With our charity, I'm so fortunate. The printer does it for me for nothing. Roberto does the design work, the graphic design work, the lawyer, the accountant. They all donate their time because they want to give back. And it might not be a monetary thing, but it's giving back. The concerts that we put on, the performers, they donate their time. And that's one of the amazing things about the performing community. Whenever there's a disaster that happens and they need fundraising, they put a concert on. So all the performers step up and donate their time. But during COVID, there was no work for the performers. So you've got to look and go, "Hey guys, who's helping out the performers now as well?" And there's no better feeling than helping people and just giving that little bit back. And it doesn't have to be every day. It doesn't have to be dollar. It's just being nice, smiling and saying thank you. It really is as simple as that.
Yeah. And that's something that I'm very passionate about sharing with people, is that the power that each individual has to make a difference comes in a myriad of ways. For some, it's giving money. For some, it's giving time. For some, it's the background service of helping out. You know, when I talk about time, I talk about just sitting and talking with people, which is what my thing is all about. My chocolate and coffee breaks is all about. But each of us has that special gift that we can give and give and give, and that makes us feel alive.
Yeah.
And so it's really important for us to acknowledge that as for each person.
I'd love one of the things that I've been talking or trying to get the federal government to look at, and I've been in touch with media people as well too, and that is for every, say, 14 to 16-year-old child to be taken to a third world country. That the government take a lot of schools do it, which they did for my daughter. I just think it would create a much better appreciation of Australia, a better work ethic in Australia. I think the children, we live in Australia and we are extremely fortunate living in Australia, even through the middle of COVID, nothing like what you see in India, Vietnam, and all these countries. So we're very, very fortunate to live here, but just to have the children go over and experience and see how other people live, it is heartbreaking. It is extremely frustrating for me when I go over and I see the standard of the people's houses that they're living in, but they open their doors and they give you whatever they can and they have nothing. But what they do have is a sense of community and togetherness. All these remote areas, they look after each other, they help each other out. Many times they don't have power. They don't have running water. They're drinking polluted water, which is why we put water bores in. The current school that we're doing, we're putting solar power on the roof so that they can have computers and have better education, or lights, even just having lights in there, because they've got a little water turbine that's running in the creek to run one light globe. No toilets, and the facilities, like the facilities that I've never grown up with and that I've never been. Like we were very poor on a dairy farm in South Gippsland, but nothing like what these people are confronted with every day. But they are as happy, the most kind and giving people that you could ever possibly meet. And I wish I could bottle that community spirit up and bring it back here instead of this. There's so much, like the 3 televisions. Congratulations, that's fantastic. You're able to afford to buy it and what have you. But just have an understanding. If the charity, I can't change the world, but if I can bring an awareness, if our committee, if we can bring an awareness of what the plight is of other people and just have a better understanding, so we have an appreciation of what we've got here in Australia, then that's half our battle as well too. And then to be able to provide for the children so that they can have the opportunities as well.
Yeah, and I think that's an interesting thing for us to look at. We look at people in developing countries and we think that they're poor, they've got nothing, but then they often have something that we don't have, that we've lost in our commercialized consumer living, that we've lost that concept of the community in many ways, of just working together and sharing with each other. And for us, it's kind of like, give me. I've got to have all these things. I have to have 3 TVs. I have to have 2 cars. I have to have this and that. Whereas they're content with what they have, but they share what they have.
They do. We're coming back. We did a food drop one time to a very remote village, and we were driving back. We don't do food drops as much. We still provide some food, but it's that old saying, give a man a fish and he eats for a day, give a man a fishing rod and he eats for life. So we try to encourage them to grow their own and help them in that way. But coming back from this very remote village, this one we were lucky enough to be able to go by car. It was so hot. Vietnamese don't sweat, but all the volunteers over there, they were dripping. I was double dripping. It was just revolting. It was oppressive. So we spent the whole day there, and I was driving back in the air-conditioned van with all 12 volunteers in the back, feeling a little bit sorry for myself. I was exhausted, and I went, hang on a minute. These people have walked for 4 hours from the mountain to come to this little village. They're carrying back the rice and the food and all the bits and pieces that we've given them. Why am I feeling tired? Then I started to think about why have I been drawn to Vietnam? It sort of fell on top of me, or I fell into it. It wasn't a plan. And we're driving through the villages, and I looked out in these remote villages, and here's mum and dad and the grandkids and the grandparents all out in front of their shops, their houses, sitting on little plastic stools. And I looked and I went, wow, it's Conwack. It's where I was born in South Gippsland, where we had the hall, the church, the school. You played cricket and football with everybody. The hall was the focal point of the whole community, and it was community. And I look out and I go, that's what the Vietnamese still have. I don't know whether it's because of their Buddhist faith or just their upbringing, but it's community. And whether you're in the big towns or the big cities, they're all looking after each other. People say it's just chaos on the road. Yes, it is, but it's not disorganised chaos. It's organised chaos. You've got no traffic lights and there's traffic going everywhere, but they let people in because they know that if I let you in, you're going to let me in at some stage. And it's this sense of community that they have over there that's just so special for them. And it's, I agree. I think it's something that we've lost. I think perhaps COVID has brought it back a little bit.
To a degree, yeah. But I just hope we don't lose that. It often happens.
We do, and in a wealthy society, that's what happens a lot of times. I hope down the track we don't go, what was that thing about toilet paper? And I hope we remember that thing that we need. Like so many people are moving from the city, from apartments out into the suburbs to have a backyard for their children because they can see the importance of that now, which is how we all grew up. I was lucky on the farm. We had a back paddock to kick the football. But it's those sort of things, if we can, all these prejudices that there are around the world, the pigeonholing of people, of gay and lesbian and whatever, stop pigeonholing people. We are all the human race. It's not black and white and brindle or whatever. We're just all human beings. If we all respect each other for the work that we do, I respect you because I can't do your job. I would expect the Queen of England to respect me because she can't do my job, but I can't do hers. So if we all respected each other as human beings and stop this racial thing about you're this and you're that and wearing a badge as, I'm a vegan, you're not, a big deal. You're a human being. Just choose what you want to do and help everybody get along. Yes. Sorry, I'm getting on my high horse. I do get very passionate about things because to me it's simple. To me it's really simple. Just be nice to each other.
Yeah.
That's
So your high horse is very much in alignment with my high horse, and I can just really, when I get on, people go, "Who's she?" Who was that?
I do. I'm trying not to talk for too long because I keep looking at the children in the background behind me on the slide and these kids at school. And if you have a look at the wall of the school, there's that many holes in the wall, dirt floor and what have you, and the facilities that they have. And these kids, they just melt your heart when you go over there and you see them, and then they go home to the parents, and the parents feed off the happiness of the children, as we all do with children as well too. And it just grows and grows. And the parents, all parents around the world, they want nothing but the best for their children. And this new school that we're building, when we first started doing it, I've got Tahan, who's the main organiser in Vietnam, and we finished the school and I looked around and the grounds were like a construction site. I said, mate, what you've got to do is factor in the cost of a playground so we can do a playground for the children. So this new one that we're doing at Tra Ling it's a dormitory so that the children that walk for about 10 kilometres morning and night that were sleeping on the dirt will now have beds in there as well for 50 children. They'll have solar on the roof. They're calling it a barnyard. I sent over a photo of a chicken coop and I said, can we get chickens and ducks and pigs? So they're now building this because of the bad weather up there. They're making it out of stainless steel. So there'll be a chicken run for ducks and pigs and goats. There'll also be a playground and the solar. Tahan is a chef. He teaches the teachers how to cook so that we put a kitchen in as well. So every day when they go to school, they have a hot meal. So the children are encouraged to come to school because they not only get education, they get a hot meal as well too. And we're making it so it's an education facility for the adults. So it's an adult learning centre. They can go down. Because one of the areas that we go into, they have the most magnificent honey and peppercorns. They put it into a plastic lemonade bottle for me, but unfortunately I can't bring it back to Australia. But that honey could be the next Manuka honey that's worth $800 a kilo. Or no, it's not that much, but it's very expensive.
Yes.
So helping them with their own environment, some of them are tree loppers, so helping them find a way of farming the trees better or farming the rice better, whatever they can do, but working on their environment. When I first went over there, one of the remote areas was 13 hours on the back of a motorbike to get there. It took us 3 hours to go 7 kilometres. It was that bad, the road. And you look and you go, before you go there, you think fertile soil, grow vegetables, grow things and take them to the market. Yeah. They can't. It's 13 hours on a motorbike. But what you can do is help them to find something that they can grow or they can do that they can perhaps take to market once a year, such as the honey, such as the peppercorns, and that's letting them choose whether they want to do it or not. Not me or not us or anybody saying this is what you should do. Let them through education. It might be a lot of times the parents are happy with their lot. A lot of times the children, because of the internet, get frustrated because they see what Western society has and Vietnam as well outside their community. So they go, bugger this, I don't want to do this anymore. And they get really angry and disappointed with it. In Papua New Guinea, they have a huge problem with what they call the rascals, which are children that leave the country to go to the city to try to find a job. There's 10 jobs. There's 5,000 people looking for 10 jobs. So they live on the street, and these rascals steal and rob and what. So by keeping them in their own community to get the education that they need to then progress on, that's the best way of doing it.
Yeah, there's so much truth in that. It's when people start to see things, they get overexcited.
True.
When they haven't had anything.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, but it's really that whole thing about teaching, not just giving them a fish, but teaching them how to fish, I think is a really important aspect of whatever we are doing. Is we have to make it not just sustainable, but so that it grows within itself. We've got to grow ourselves out of a job.
Yep. Absolutely. Creating those opportunities, not just for what the project that we're working on now is, my dream project has always been to create a learning centre in somewhere like Hoi An where people with disabilities, whether learning or physical disabilities, can go. It to be Tahan's a chef with coffee shops over there. I'd love it to have accommodation. So if they come down from the mountains, they can stay there for about 6 months until they get set up. It will have a coffee shop and a restaurant. It will have a garden. It will have an area that they can learn English and Vietnamese. The Vietnamese from the mountains is completely different to what's down in town. By coming down, they can learn reception work. They can learn basic bookkeeping. Vietnam is probably 80 to 90% tourism. So if they have skills in some way, so if there's accommodation, they can learn housekeeping. If there's a garden, they can learn gardening. If they've got some sort of physical disability or learning disability, they can still learn. They want to learn. They want to work. They can learn to be a waiter or a waitress or a chef. So it will be a facility that's self-perpetuating, self-funding, because both the locals and tourists will go there. A little bit like William Angliss here in Melbourne, where you can go and get a 5-course silver service meal for a very cheap price because you're getting that from the students. You can also go to the hairdressing academy and get a cheap not me, but you can get a cheap haircut because you're learning from the apprentices. So that's the facility that I want to work on so that it becomes self-perpetuating. It is self-funding so that tourists and locals go there to get a cheap cup of coffee or a cheap meal, knowing that they are going to be served by people that are learning. They're learning to be a waiter. They're learning to be a barista. They'll walk through a beautiful Zen garden because they're learning how to do the gardening. I'd like that facility to have a certificate of completion so that when they go to the big hotels, and they're huge hotels that are being developed over there, or pre-COVID, and we will, the world will go back to normal. We have to. We can't keep going like this.
No.
They will be able to go there knowing and show the certificate to the employers at the hotels, knowing that, hey, I can be a gardener or I can be a housekeeper or I can be a chef or a barista. So that's what we're working on at the moment. We've got our big fundraiser. Can I talk about the fundraiser?
Yes, that was my next question. Please.
14th of August, Marty Fields is hosting an MC. Rhonda Birchmore is performing for us. It's at Moonee Valley Racecourse, 14th of August. Tickets are online at Eventbrite. If you book before the end of May, tickets are $150. If you book after the 31st of May, tickets are $195. All the profits go to build this new facility that we're working on in Hoi An. Either Hoi An or Da Nang will be in Vietnam. And I hope once we've done one that we can keep that growing and going in places like the Philippines and India and all those, so that it is a learning facility for people to go that don't have the money to go to other schools. It can be and a learning facility for adults as well too, so they can get the experience that they need to progress on to other industries and other employment.
So if people want to help out in you with your fundraising or in any time or donate whatever, as we've spoke about before, and they're not in Melbourne or not in a position to go to your fundraiser, how can they help you?
They can call me directly on 0418 382 370. And you can go to the website as well, have a look. All the missions are on there. I take photos. Whoever donates money, whatever people do, I used to go over there 3 or 4 times a year, and I laminate a sign with Andrea, and you might have donated a cow, so you can physically see where your money went to that cow and take a photo so you can see it. So the website is www.changetheone.org. People can see the missions there. They can donate through there. It doesn't have to be money. We've got people that are knitting beanies for us because the mountains are very cold. We've got people that are knitting jumpers for us. We've got people that are doing quilts for us as well too. So Reagan Milstein.
There's lots of things people can do without.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be a monetary thing. If they want to come on board. Last year, unfortunately, we couldn't go because of COVID. We built a library, a community centre, and an extension to a school in Tam Lan. Mm-hmm. There were 14 tradies that were booked, paid, and going over to work with the locals, electricians, plumbers, bricklayers, all going over from here that donated their time to go over in April to build with the locals. We couldn't go. So that's what we're going to be doing each year around Easter, which will be next year now, of course, so that I'll take in Easter. It'll be a 2-week trip. They can extend it and have a holiday as well, but it's going over so that they can work with the locals. They will be living with the locals. They'll be working with the locals, all set up. We're ready to go. And then this thing called COVID happened, so we couldn't go. But if people want to jump on board and do that, fantastic as well.
Yeah, wonderful. It's really awesome. So, Peter, before we go, if there was one piece of advice that you would give somebody who was sitting there thinking, oh, gee, Peter's gone out there and he's doing what he's passionate about. Maybe I should do something that I'm passionate about. What advice would you give them?
I'm a great Hawthorn supporter, and John Kennedy, the great coach, said, do something. Just do something. Doesn't matter how big, how small it is, how insignificant that it seems to be, it will be worthwhile. Just get on board with something. It can be with your local church. It can be with Rotary, Lions Club. It can be with us. Just do something. Get involved with the community. Just knock on someone's door, an elderly person. Just give back. Give back. It's the most important thing that you could possibly do in the world is giving back. Not $1 million, not $1,000, not $5. A little bit of your time, 5 minutes of your time. Don't get me wrong. If someone would like to donate $1 million to our charity, I will gratefully. Absolutely. And just anything, please. Again, I will stress 100% of the money goes to those in need. I fund my own trips to go to Vietnam. I put my house on Airbnb, and that pays for my trips to go to Vietnam. And it's heartbreaking, but it's so rewarding to go over there and help these people. One that always sticks in my mind very briefly, Miss Tam. We went to take around Tet celebrations. Tet is their new year. Went to this family that was chosen by the local MP, I suppose you'd call him, the mayor. Miss Tam is 22 years of age and has never been off her bed. She's so badly bent and twisted by Agent Orange. They lived in a house with the kitchen was like the worst outdoor barbecue you could ever see. There was no toilet, there was no shower. Her dad was a delivery man on a rickety old push bike. The mum did cleaning. The volunteers, I spoke to them that night, and it really got at me that I couldn't do something for this family. And I said, can we provide a wheelchair for the family? We had for the young girl. So we bought her a new bed and a new television, because that's all she could basically do was lie on the bed at 22 years of age. And through their advice, instead of giving a wheelchair, it's like that fish and the fishing rod, we bought the dad a motorbike, because he was able to then do more deliveries further and more to be able to provide better for the family. So, and we also put in a new kitchen, a bathroom and toilet for the family as well too. So doing things like that, it's just an incredible feeling, but then it's also very frustrating because there's so many people in the world that are like that.
Yes.
And you want to help them all, but you can't. So you just got to focus on change the one and just do that one thing at a time.
Yes. A beautiful message, Peter, and a wonderful charity, and I really applaud you for what you're doing. It sounds amazing.
Thank you.
And I hope that some people will be listening to this and go, sounds pretty good. I think I can help out a little bit with that.
Thank you.
So thank you so much for being a wonderful guest today.
My pleasure. Thank you to everybody.
So that's all we have for today with the Social Mission Revolution, and I'll be back next time with another Social Mission Revolutionist. This has been the Social Mission Revolution with Andrea Putting. Join me again next week when we'll speak to another Social Mission Revolutionist who will inspire you on your journey to making your ultimate impact on the world.